In Corpus Christi, Texas, a man cut the head off a rattlesnake. It was dead. He reaches for it, and it bites him. It releases all of its venom. Next thing you know, he's having seizures, he has vision loss, bleeding internally. Has to get 26 doses of anti-venom. Almost died. A rattlesnake's severed head can bite for 90 minutes after it's cut off. The fangs still work, the venom's live, and the head don't know that it's dead. Now you may be asking, what does this have to do with Revelation 12? Just stick around because we're going to get there. Revelation 12 is about a serpent whose head has been crushed, but his venom's still alive. It has a backstory. Everything John has shown us so far, seals, trumpets, persecution, those were symptoms. Now he's going to show us the disease. And to do it, he rewinds all the way back to Genesis. In Genesis 3:15, we find two seeds, two lines, the woman's and the serpent's. They're at war, and God started it. And every story we find in the Bible, from Genesis 3 onward, is this war being played out. Pharaoh drowning Hebrew babies, Haman planning genocide, Herod slaughtering infants. Same serpent, different mask. And in the book of Revelation, John sees it in full color. The woman, the serpent now grown into a dragon, and the seed. And here's where it gets interesting. Verse 3 tells us, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, and cast them to earth. Domitian, he's the emperor when John wrote this. He minted coins. On one side, Domitian, as Jupiter holding a thunderbolt. On the reverse side, his dead infant son, a baby, seated on the globe, surrounded by 7 stars. The inscription, Divs Caesar, the divine child of Caesar. Domitian put his child among the stars and called him God. Now let's go back and read verse 4. The dragon's tail sweeps stars out of heaven and casts them to the earth. Domitian places the child among the stars. The dragon displaces stars. Do you see what John's doing here? He's writing an anti-imperial counter-narrative. He's saying that coin that you got in your pocket is propaganda for a monster. And it gets deeper. The original recipients of John's letter would have known about First Enoch. Stars representing angelic beings would have been familiar to them. When the dragon sweeps a third of the stars from heaven with his tail, that's not just a special effect. It's a rebellion. The dragon took angels with him. It was a heavenly coup. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, describes this kind of conflict. Michael the archangel leads the son of light against Belial, the angel of darkness. The community that wrote those scrolls was waiting for this battle, and John says it's happening. Look at verse 1. A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Her wardrobe says everything. Sun, moon, 12 stars. That's Joseph's dream in Genesis 37. The 12 tribes, she's wearing Israel's clothes. She represents the faithful people of God across centuries. That's the church. If you belong to Christ, that's you. And she's in labor, screaming, because the Messiah didn't arrive easily. The people of God bled for centuries to get to this moment. Now let's look at verse 5, because one verse covers the birth, life, death, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus. One verse! She gave birth to a male child who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. But her child was called up to God and his throne. John's not just telling us a biography. He's giving a mission briefing. Insertion, objective completed, extraction. The dragon had been waiting on this since Genesis 3, and he was standing at the delivery door with his mouth open. He used Pharaoh, he used Herod, he used Rome. He failed. And the child was caught up to God and to his throne. That's Psalm 110. Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. The male child is the enthroned king. Right now, not waiting to rule. At this moment, reigning. And check out this connection. Psalm 110 verse 6 in Hebrew says the king will Mahatz Rosh, shatter the head. That's Genesis 3:15 clarified. That ambiguous bruise in Genesis becomes the shatter in Psalms and the cast down in Revelation. The head crushing didn't end at Calvary. It continues from the throne. Now let's look at verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Now when did this war happen? The context ties it to the cross and resurrection. The child's caught up to the throne, and then war breaks out. The enthronement triggers the eviction. In the Hebrew, Michael, it means who is like God. Who is like God? In chapter 13, the followers of the beast ask, who is like the beast? Same grammatical structure. Stolen question, wrong answer. Michael wins and the dragon loses. And verse 8 says something devastating. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. Not just defeated, but deported, expelled, evicted. The papers are signed. Then verse 9 strips every alias off. 4 names in one verse. That old serpent, the devil, Satan or Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. The serpent from Genesis 3, the slanderer, the adversary, the liar behind the curtain. John rips every mask off in a single sentence. 4,000 years of aliases exposed. Now this isn't just a battle scene, it's a courtroom. We've talked about the heavenly trial before. In the Old Testament, the heavenly court had members. Those who were loyal and those who rebelled. In Job chapters 1 and 2, the Satan shows up in the divine council as a prosecuting attorney. He files charges. Job only serves you because you bless him. In Zechariah 3, the Satan stands at the high priest's right hand to accuse him. And that's what's been happening in heaven. The accuser's been filing charges against God's people, day and night. Verse 10, the accuser of all our brethren, which accused them before God, day and night. And his case was real. The evidence was real. Your sin, my sin. He had receipts. But the blood of the Lamb is the evidence that ends his prosecution. Case dismissed. The courtroom didn't declare you not guilty. It declared paid for. In verse 11, this is the verse. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto death. 3 weapons. That's the full arsenal of the church. The blood of the Lamb. Not your righteousness, but his. The word of their testimony. Your story, spoken out loud. They loved not their lives unto death. A willingness to lay it down. No armies, no political alliances, no economic leverage. Blood, words, death. And that's how you beat a dragon. That word overcame is Nikeo in Greek. It's a military term. Conquest, victory on the battlefield. And the method's completely upside down. You win by losing your life. The dragon's strategy is violence. The lamb's strategy is sacrifice. The heel gets bruised, the head gets crushed. And that exchange rate hasn't changed since Genesis 3. Then verse 12. 2 sentences. Joy and terror in the same breath. Rejoice, you heavens. Woe to the earth. For the devil has come down to you having great wrath, because he knows his time is short. In 2022, North Korea passed a nuclear law, Article 6. If the regime is ever threatened, if the dynasty falls, nuclear strikes launch automatically. No human decision required. They call it a dead hand system. The Soviets built the original version. The philosophy, if we go down, everything goes down. If you kill the king, the kingdom burns. It's not a strategy to win. It's a strategy to make sure nobody else wins either. That's verse 12. The dragon knows he's lost. He's been evicted from heaven. The verdict's final. And his response is dead hand theology. Maximum destruction on the way out. Not fighting to win, fighting to take as many as he can before the clock runs out. Great wrath in a short time. Automated destruction from a doomed regime. The dragon can't touch the child. He's on the throne. So he turns on the woman. And God responds with an Exodus move. I love this part. Verse 14. To the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness. That's Exodus 19:4. God told Israel, I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Same God, same rescue pattern, same wings. The Exodus isn't just history, it's a template. And the wilderness is not punishment. The text says a place prepared of God. Prepared in advance. 3.5 years, 1260 days, half of 7. Daniel used this number for the period of Antiochus Epiphanes' persecution. It's symbolic. Evil gets a clock, not a throne. A leash, not a kingdom. Not 7, that's completion. Half of 7. The expiration date's already printed. The serpent spews a flood from his mouth, and the earth swallows it. Verse 16. But the earth came to the help of the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed the river that the dragon had poured from his mouth. The dirt itself fights for God's people. The ground that was cursed in Genesis 3 still has enough loyalty to swallow the dragon's flood. And in verse 17, since the dragon can't reach the child and the woman's protected, he goes after the most vulnerable target he can find. The dragon was wroth with woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. The rest of her offspring, that's you. If you keep his commandments, if you have the testimony, you are the seed the dragon's been hunting since Genesis 3:15. To the nurse pulling a double who won't cut corners on her chart because her integrity matters more than her exhaustion, the dragon went to make war with the rest of her offspring. That teenager who prays before lunch every day at a table by himself, the dragon went to make war. The recovering addict whose old crew texted last Friday, the serpent spewing a flood. He can't overturn the verdict, so he attacks the witnesses. But verse 17 calls them something. They keep the commandments, they have the testimony. The dragon threw everything at them, and they're still standing. That rattlesnake kid that bit the fella in Texas released all its venom, took 26 doses of antivenom to keep him from dying. That's this chapter. Genesis 3:15 said that the seed of woman will crush the serpent's head. Calvary was a shovel, the head come off, but the reflexes are still firing. The fangs still twitch, the venom is still alive. That accusation at 2 a.m. that tells you that you're not enough, that's venom from the severed head. That shame that won't release its grip, that's venom. The pressure to shut your mouth and blend in, venom. It burns, it swells, but it can't kill what the blood already covers. 26 doses of antivenom almost wasn't enough for that man. But the blood of the lamb don't come in doses. It was shed once and it covers forever. It satisfied the court of heaven, it shut the mouth of the accuser, and it's sufficient for every drop of venom the serpent had left. The serpent's head's off, and the fangs are twitching. The venom's still there, but so is the blood. If this changed how you read Revelation 12, or you just want to talk about it, tell me about it in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear that the venom can't kill what the blood already covers, send them this video. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone at 2 a.m. is to forward them a link. And if you're interested in seeing more, check out some of these videos and hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next one. God bless you.